I'm Chef Frank, this is Protocooks, and today I'm going to show you how to make griddled nachos with avocado crema. The inspiration for these nachos comes from a local brewery that my wife and I like to go to. They have great beer, great food, great atmosphere. We continue to go there even though they changed these nachos and took them off the menu. I'm forced to make them at home and I'm going to share them with you today. For my nachos, this is what you're going to need. Tortilla chips, cheese, avocado, cilantro, lime, sour cream, pickled jalapeños, pico de gallo, and refried beans. Before we talk about the individual ingredients, this recipe is versatile. You can change anything out, swap out the cheese, swap out any of the flavorings you want. It's up to you. This is the way that I like them. Let's talk about the tortilla chips. I do not fry my own for these. I want this to be a quick and easy meal or snack. So you can fry your own if you want. I just buy my favorite tortilla chips in a bag, and that's what I use. You want to fry your own? Go for it. I'm using a sharp cheddar and a pepperjack cheese. Again, if you want, you can use whatever cheese you want. These tend to be my favorites. I'm gonna make an avocado crema, which is a great way to stretch out an avocado. Basically, it's gonna be avocado, lime juice, cilantro, and sour cream. You can put guac on if you want, but I like this a little better. It cuts a little bit of the heat of the jalapeños. I make my own refried beans. You can use it from a can if you want. I just like to make my own. We made these on this channel. I'll put it up here, down there somewhere. I'll link it so that you can check out how we make our refried beans. Pico de gallo. I made this on my TikTok. You can go check it out there, Protocooks on TikTok. It adds some freshness, some bite, a little bit of heat, a little bit of saltiness. Make your own pico de gallo. If you don't want to, you can find a salsa that you really enjoy. Now, if you ever watch me on Epicurious, I have tons of videos. I'll link one or two here so you can see it. I preach about how to shred cheese manually. You can do this in a machine. I see on TikTok they have those machines now that you can stick to your counter. I just have a box grater. I use the large holes, and instead of doing it like this, granny style, I like to lay it on its side and push, right? I have a little more leverage. It tends to go a little quicker. I find it's a little safer. Your knuckles really don't get beat up with this. But for the most part, I like to shred my own cheese on a box grater. If it's a lot of cheese, I'll use the machine. I have a food processor that I can use. But for the most part, just shred it on its side onto a tray. It's so much easier. I'm using about a pound of cheese for maybe 4 servings of nachos. It's a lot of cheese, right? But that is the key here. Lots of cheese. I go back and forth between the 2 different types, because now it's mixed. I don't have to mix it up. There we go. The cheese is shredded. Remember, shred your own. One of the other toppings we're gonna make is an avocado crema, which is basically just avocado and some flavorings and sour cream. Here's the reason why I like this. I can drizzle this over the finished nachos, and basically you can get a little bit of avocado and sour cream in every bite. Whereas when you make nachos and they put big lumps of avocado or guacamole on top and then lumps of sour cream, one person gets a big chunk of sour cream or a big chunk of avocado. This way I can spread it out more. It's a little more evenly spread. I just think it just makes a better nacho, better for eating, better for sharing. The crema is super simple. Basically going to throw the sour cream in, put that in there. I have an avocado, so cut it, twist it, take your knife, give it a little whack, twist that out. I just like to do a little bit of a crosshatch there. And then I just squeeze it into my blender. If you have a spoon, you can use a spoon too, but this works just as well. Just squeeze it in there. A little bit of cilantro. There's a little bit of stem on here. I'm not worried. As long as the stems are really skinny, I don't mind the stem. I think it has a lot of flavor. Plus, we're putting this into a blender. A nice dollop of salt, and then some lime juice. I try and use fresh lime wherever I can. You want this to be nice and fresh on top of the nice cheesy nachos. So you can use the jar stuff, but I don't recommend it. Fresh is always better when it comes to this. So we're using about 2 limes here, and then we're gonna throw it in the blender and get it nice and smooth. Pop it on. I have my dasher here, right? So let's get it going. Can you see me? Where am I? Turn it on. Now, if it's not spinning, I get a little milk. You can add water, but I'm just gonna add a little milk because sour cream, right? Add a little bit of milk and it'll spin a lot better. Take it off. I have my Star Wars tasting spoon. Let's give it a taste. Oh, delicious. Tastes like avocado, a little bit of lime, a little cilantro, nice and creamy. Let's set this aside and make our nachos. What sets these nachos apart from any other nacho you've had before is this piece of equipment. It's a griddle. It's a pancake griddle. If you don't have one of these, they're not expensive. I'll put a link in the description on where to find one. This is key to this method. It is totally key. I've preheated it at about 350. And what I'm gonna do is add a layer of cheese down first. These are griddled nachos. And I'll tell you, it makes all the difference here. Nothing like a little bit of crispy cheese. And then I'm gonna start putting some of my tortilla chips on top. I might not use the whole bag, right? I'm only making enough for like 3 or 4 people. A little more cheese in between. Spread it out, flatten it out a little. Don't be afraid. Remember, we're using a lot of cheese here. That spot looks bare. Put it there. A little more nachos, a little more tortilla chips on top. Look at that, look at that. And then we take the rest of the cheese and top it with the rest of the cheese. All right, don't be shy, Frank. Get in there, come on. And really all we have to do now is wait. Wait until the cheese on the bottom starts to get caramelized and crunchy and brown and delicious. And then we can try and flip the whole unit over. That's it. That's the secret. It is so darn good. If you look along the edges here, I don't know if you can see it, we're starting to get brown. Be patient. Be patient. Don't do anything yet. I want to start seeing some of the cheese on the top melt a little before I even attempt to kind of flip it over. I'm telling you, you serve these nachos to someone, you have a friend for life. All right, let's give it a check. Okay, we're getting there. It's still sticking a little there, so I want the cheese to caramelize a little more. Again, you want to be patient here. It doesn't take long. You'll have nachos in your mouth in a very short amount of time. You want to make sure the cheese on the bottom in the center caramelizes as well as the edges. I think it's time to turn. Now, I'm going to try and turn it in 2 big slabs. If you don't worry about it. It's still going to be delicious. But the way that I know it's time to turn is that I'm looking on top. You see how my cheese is starting to melt all the way through? I want the cheese to be melted all the way through. I don't want cheese that is still cold in the center. So, let's get under it. I'm gonna just cut it in half. All right, Frank. We're gonna definitely make a mess here, so don't be too afraid. I got a second spatula. Pull it apart. Oh yeah, look at that. Get under there. Give it a flip. Oh my goodness! See that? That's what we're looking for. Crispy cheese, crispy tortillas. Give it a turn. And now we're gonna let the other side caramelize so that there's no cold cheese. We're gonna give it another 2 or 3 minutes and then we can garnish it up. Look at how beautiful that crispy cheese is. Get it crispy like this. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. They are ready to go onto my platter. Crispy cheese, there's some soft melty cheese in the middle, right? I have my platter here. I'm gonna do this in 2 layers. Just get this layer up and onto my platter. Now I think that when I had them at the brewery, they used to roll this up into like a cylinder. I'm not even gonna try and do that. I'm just gonna try and get it onto the platter. Look at that. The nachos have been griddled. Now it's time to garnish. I'm not really too worried about little wet ingredients. If little things get soggy here and there, not a big deal. But I do try and get some of that liquid off of my pico. And I'm going maximum here. I'm not gonna go light. I'm gonna let it drip down. I'm gonna put it on the sides, right? I'm gonna get a lot of that pico on there. Don't be afraid, it's gonna be wonderful, right? Pico on there. I'm gonna get my refried beans. They're nice and hot. Right? And again, we don't want to do any like little lumps. We want to make sure we get a good spread on this. Refried beans. I'm going to leave some of the cheese to be like, I want to see that cheese in the center there a little. Some refried beans. I'm going to do my avocado crema. Sprinkle it around. Get that avocado crema all around. I also can put this stuff on the side too, right? You can leave this on the side if people want to add more to their own, right? So we have our avocado crema. And then I just like to use some pickled jalapeños just for a little bit of heat, right? Spread that out a little, right? Get that in there. Look at that. Now, like I said, you're going to make friends and influence people with these nachos. Don't be afraid. Pull them out at any party and people will be happy. Now's my favorite time to taste. Let me get in there. I'm going to crack this off right here. Just listen how crispy that is, right? I'm going to spread this stuff around, get a little bite of everything. The crispiness of the chip, the crispiness of the cheese kind of meld. You taste the caramelization of the cheese. All the other stuff just accentuates that beautiful cheesiness. It cuts some of the richness. All you really need to complement this is someone to eat it with and an ice cold beer. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We have merch in the description down below. We got some new stuff down there. I want you to check it out. It's salty with Protocooks on the back of the shirts. We got mugs, we got hoodies, we got pints. I want to thank my Patreon patrons for all your support. I really appreciate it. That is my Griddled Nachos. I'm Chef Frank. This is Protocooks. Have a good one.